lot of people are frustrated in their career or in their jobs for the same reason that I was. And my dad gave me this piece of information, so I'll give it to y'all, and hopefully it works for y'all as well. He told me 2 reasons why I'm frustrated. The first was I haven't decided what I want out of the situation.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't decided what I want to gain from this role. I haven't decided what I want to get from this company, what experiences or things I want to learn. So because I haven't decided that, someone else is steering me. And I'm getting frustrated with the fact that someone else is steering me. So there's the company steering me, my manager steering me. They're pulling me in a direction that I don't want to go.
Yeah.
And it's because I haven't decided where I want to go for myself. Second thing of it was, he told me to always only go to places where people...
Yo, welcome to the cave with Mel, Troy, and Lex. The podcast where men can have a safe space. We on all platforms. You need to tune in, hit the like button, subscribe, and share it with your friends. Welcome to Melody, the podcast where men can have a safe space. Welcome to Melody. Welcome to the cave with Mel, Troy, and Lex.
For sure. Because I think a lot of people would benefit from that.
Well, the thing now was particularly with AI in place. I was just talking to somebody, I think it might have been 2 weeks ago. Like, you know how even like on LinkedIn or Indeed, they have these easy apply links and stuff like that. What people don't understand is that they're using AI to scrub all
to
that
match
stuff.
it, yeah.
So if the wording in your resume don't have some of those keywords, they don't even look at your resume. So your resume, a lot of times we often thought, okay, I can just have one resume and don't update it as much as we should or match to the job description, but you also almost have to shift your resume each time you're applying for a particular position, because a lot of organizations like Workday and stuff like that, they all using AI to scrub that stuff.
That's true.
A lot of recruiters and stuff don't even look at hard copy resumes like talking about no more. So yeah, it's a thing now.
And that's the thing. I don't mind applying for a job, submitting a resume and stuff like that. I don't mind doing that. But I put my resume in with all my information in there, and then you also make me fill out all my information that's on my resume in the daggone job. Why is that?
Some of that is to deter people from applying, to be honest with you. Like, they put a bunch of barriers in place so that they just don't get a flood of useless applications. So they'll make the application process a little more difficult, because if you really took the time to fill out the application, then you're really serious about applying for the position, especially like to what Lace talked about with all these easy apply buttons like on LinkedIn or Indeed or whatever it is, where people can just click apply and use resume or profile, whatever it is. So people start to get hundreds of applications, and that's why they can't sift through it. That's why they're using AI to try to pull keywords and relevant info and stuff like that. So
like even in LinkedIn, like when I was looking at, if I had a position open, looking at resumes, you'll look at, say for instance, you got 30 people apply. The first thing your team is saying, I don't want to look at 30 resumes. But if you look at like LinkedIn, when they have like the easy apply and stuff like that, and Indeed, you can see over 100 applicants. Who you think looking at that? I mean, it's just law of numbers. I mean, it don't happen like that. And then some organizations will have recruiters doing their bidding for them, et cetera.
Yeah.
But a lot of times they really aren't scrubbing applicants to say, oh, this would be a solid fit in a way, because they're inundated with information and to review, et cetera. So yeah, it's a real thing. It's a real thing, because I had one of my homies, he was like, I've applied for, over 50, 60 jobs, and all of them keep coming back saying that they've moved on to different. I was like, that, first of all, that's a generic response.
Yeah.
And you're not catering your information to the description. You're basing your experience, et cetera, off of what you've done, but you haven't articulated it in a way that aligns with whatever the description is. Hence why you keep getting these rejections.
And that's one of the things that you mentioned previously, the way that they're sifting out, like a lot of these jobs will be like, you need to have a terminal degree in order to have this position.
Or preferred.
Yeah. You don't need a terminal degree to do this job.
First of all, we don't need a terminal degree to do a lot of anything.
Right.
Like, legit, you don't. But a lot of that is, as Mel mentioned, ways of sifting out individuals or deterring them from applying. Because, like, think about it. One of my homies, they are interviewing for a position at another institution coming up, I think, next week. And it was the terminal degree preferred. First of all, why do I have to have a terminal degree to be a conduct officer at a college? Right. First of all, you got the policy and procedure in place. student violate the policy procedure. I just
enforce
simply,
I just follow
Right,
through.
exactly.
Yeah.
what does me having a terminal degree have to do with that? Little to nothing. Now, if we're talking about as far as like if you're doing research around the subject matter, those kind of things, that's different. But the day-to-day operation stuff of the business, no.
Right.
That's why when I was hiring people, I would always look for transferable skill sets. Like I don't care if you have now granted you have to meet the education requirement. That's different than a preferred requirement. But if you have a skill set that's transferable, I'm betting on you more so than somebody that has come up through the ranks, if you will, of all they've ever done is higher education, or all they've ever done is ask. No, I would like to see somebody who has sales background, who has business background, who has relationship building skills, like those kinds of things, because that's the intangibles that to me that matter most in a lot of positions. But that's just my hiring style.
Mm. And the sad part about the great thing about that, specifically the sales, bro. If you could do sales, you could do anything. Because
for sure, a lot of it's just getting an opportunity,
right?
You know what I'm saying? So a lot of it's getting an opportunity, like where we record. If you can sell Cutco's, I can give you a shot. I mean, legit. If you can sell knives, I mean, like,
because the truth be told, what it's really saying is that you got a hunger to do something.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it tells me.
Self-starter.
You're a self-starter.
Like I said, intangibles, skills, transferable skills that you can do it on any job. Like when I was fresh out of college, one of the top places to work was Enterprise. You work at Enterprise a year, you get a job anywhere, whether that's financial, whether that's
really
in the sales market. Absolutely, they were. If you were fresh out of college and you worked at Enterprise for 1 to 2 years, you could get a job anywhere. I went straight from renting cars to being a financial advisor at Wachovia at the time. And all I had to do was pass my series test. So you do the math. I went from renting cars on a daily to a Series 6, 63, selling financial things, financial resources to individuals.
Was that a known cheat code at the time?
It was one of the top 10 companies to work for.
Troy, like I missed the memo.
Yeah,
I
legit.
missed that
No
memo.
bull. It was one of the top 10 companies to work for at that time. Enterprise. Because their business model, organizations knew if you work for Enterprise, you was go grind, you had to sell, you had to do XYZ. So they knew they had a certain type of skill set coming on board.
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Hey man, what's going on? We back in the cave, man. It's
What
your
it do,
boy
though?
Melly
What it
Mel,
do?
aka Melly Badass, aka Meek Mel, aka your favorite truth teller, aka if you don't want to know,
Don't
ask me. What's
It's
going
your
on,
boy
y'all?
T. Roy, aka your neighborhood hope dealer. If you need some hope, I got something you can borrow. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow.
Safety whistle dot. What it do though? It's your boy Dr. Life Coach Lace, aka NBA old boy, aka I'm him, aka the Menace. No relation to Dennis. What we talking about
Let's
today?
get it. No, the conversation we were having was cool. I just wanted to get the intro off.
No,
yeah,
we
most
good.
definitely.
One of the tricks that you did mention though that I've learned along the way, is that job description is going to tell you everything you need to know about your application. So one of the things that I've done over time to help me increase my chance of getting in front of somebody, because that's always was the hardest part.
Mm-hmm.
If I could get in front of somebody,
Right.
I was going to get the job.
Yeah.
Once I could get to the table and have an interview and, put the riz on, whatever it was, I was going to get the job back. It's just getting that interview.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did start learning was, like you said, to go to the job description, whatever it says that they're looking for, find a way to not copy and paste that into my description, but find a way to articulate and showcase that I've done some of the things that they have listed. So all the stuff that your resume should have, they put in that job description.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just go off your work experience and your resume and continue to say, I had this title and these were my said responsibilities. This is how long I worked there.
Yeah.
I just had a conversation about this with one of my homeboys recently. Actually, my little brother, because he's fresh out of college now. Now he's applying for jobs. He wanted to rework his resume. And then one of my other homeboys hit me up with a similar thing. And they were both kind of making the same mistake, which I think a lot of people still make, is they're listing a job title. And then in the description, they're putting what their responsibilities were.
Right.
Took papers to trash can.
Mm-hmm.
Proficient in Microsoft Word. Stop telling people that you're proficient in Office suites that everyone's been using. If you're gonna be proficient in something, make sure it's a relevant platform to an industry or have a certification or something like that. Don't just put proficient in Google Suite and Microsoft Word, or use Microsoft Teams for 6 months. That's ridiculous. Don't put that on your resume.
And then get the job and over there typing.
Right. Don't do that.
Proficient.
Do not do that. Do not do that. What you really want to do is showcase your impact in those positions.
Correct.
So if your position had metrics associated with it, what type of metrics did you achieve? What goals did you hit? How did that position or the company get better from the time that you started that position until you moved on to something else?
Correct.
That is what you should be using the bullet points for in your resume, and not to just list out a bunch of responsibility. Anybody with a computer can go and search that job title and see what the responsibilities included. And if you've been a hiring manager for a long time, which most of these people have, you start to become accustomed to the roles and responsibilities of said job title. So don't do that. Focus on what impact that you made while you're in that position. And if you're struggling with that, that is when you can use some of these other things like ChatGPT or Google Gemini or whatever it is to kind of get ideas on how you can put words to those particular things. So
and do not copy and paste ChatGPT.
Do not copy and paste ChatGPT.
Because
that was going to be my next thing.
Companies are using that
stuff to know as
well. So,
do not copy and paste directly from ChatGPT. Make it your own. You're supposed to use that for inspiration.
Yes.
Not as a final product,
Correct.
which a lot of y'all are doing.
Correct.
So that's tidbit on that.
Because ChatGPT, first of all, isn't always correct.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
And then sometimes, like the way that they word things, you have to go back and grammar check that they did.
Extremely accurate in a lot of ways because you can put anything in it. But yeah, particularly because I generally what I would tell people to do if they do use ChatGPT, the description of the job they're applying for, put it in that. Get some talking points, and also you can actually say create or enhance resume based upon this job description, and it'll give you some sound talking points from there. But keep those things in mind because organizations are sifting out these straight ChatGPT resumes.
So what you just said, everything we said as far as like getting our resume up to date and all that type of stuff. One of the questions that you asked earlier, is it okay to go to do 2 pages? Because for a long time we were told
1 page.
1 page.
Right.
But we've been in the game, we've been working for years now. You can't put everything on 1 page.
Right, but that goes back to Mel's point. What have you done that has been instrumental, inspirational, and shifted culture in whatever role that you may be in? So metrics, you know what I mean? Like in higher education, 25% increase student retention. Based upon my role or whatever the case may be, had an implementation of a new operating system to enhance the student or experience, those kind of. So based upon industry metrics that have showed an increase in a shifting in culture or practice that you have contributed to, not proficient in Microsoft Word and those kinds of things. Because now, I hate to say it, a lot of organizations are looking for individuals who are, I would say, more go-getters rather than being able to stick to the status quo. And that's in every industry. Why would I want somebody who has been working here 25 years, has never brought any innovation or any change to the organization, but I have somebody who has a skill set that can be developed that can be innovative and take us into the next quarter century. So those are the kind of things that come into play. And people have to realize, too, who they are interviewing with and who they are engaging with. I know if I'm interviewing with somebody or engaging with the organization that their leadership has been in place for 20 years, they probably don't want a lot of change unless they have to based upon the industry. If I'm interviewing with somebody who's been there less than 5 or to 10 years, then the approach may be a little bit more liberal in how we can engage and cultivate or meet the set goals of the organization. But you have to know who you're dealing with as well.
You had said something a few years ago. No. I shared with you one day that I was going to meet with a higher up at an institution, and you was like, "Oh, that's gonna be a good look," and he was like, "You were like, because they're gonna be in that position just for a little bit, and then they're gonna be gone." And it brought to my mind, why do people just sit in a place for a little while? I mean, for like a short bit of time and then bounce somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like I feel as though like this. I grew up in a city where textiles and factory work was the thing, and you worked there for years.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And so to go from that type of mentality of saying, oh, my mama worked at Toltex for umpteenth number of years, and now for me to see somebody bouncing around somewhere for every 2 years, that doesn't seem like dedication. Why is that?
Well, different generation, different level of upward mobility. And my mentor told me a long time ago, he was like 5 years max, and he's a
Right.
president of a college, a large institution. He said 5 years max. That's just what it is. If you ain't hit your ceiling in 5 years, then you doing something wrong.
Right.
And that's exactly what he told me. Now, obviously, industry and those kind of things matter, but think about if you work in the computer space or the technology field. 2 years is a wrap.
2 years.
Yeah.
2 years is a wrap. So, industry does matter, but you also have to understand the innovation and how things move. Higher ed is one of the slower moving
Sure.
systems. But at the end of the day, why would I want to be a dean of students for 25 years? Think of how many generations have come through your institution in a 25-year span, or how many classes come through your institution, and the shifting of student need, organizational need, those kind of things. So if you aren't changing and meeting the need of who you serving,
You're gonna be outdated.
that's what I'm saying.
Right.
So
Oh,
you got to
snap.
keep those kind of things. Got to keep those kind of things in mind. But my mentor told me a long time ago, said 5 years max. If you ain't hit your ceiling, then you doing something wrong.
To add to that, T-Dot, just to further answer your question, I was going to answer, but I wanted to hear what Lay said first, just in case we was going to say the same thing. The other part of that is, though, people in our generation started to learn that they could get paid more faster.
Fact.
If they job hop. So in a sense, 2 years, I've been here long enough to take that experience somewhere else to get more money. Because a lot of times people are trying to bargain with their current employer, like to get a raise, whatever. And if I can't get that raise, this 2 years of experience that I just gained is enough for me to take this resume to somebody else and get that 10, 20% raise increase that you're not trying to give me. So it's just an education for a lot of people, especially in similar industry like me, like marketing and tech and stuff like that.
Ever
2
changing.
years,
Yeah.
and things move like every 6 months. Technology is different almost. So you have that 2 year mark where you like, I can bounce. Like I could literally get an extra 20, 30 grand from somebody else. I don't have to be here right now. And you kind of just move. So where previously, and I still think it's a struggle for millennials because we're kind of closer in that gap with our parents, where it was like you work for somewhere and have loyalty. Like you just stay there. Where the generation right under us is like, hey, you got 18 months. Because it was always told to us, well, back when we used to apply, it would be a problem for an interviewer to see that you've gone from place to place to place,
which is biased within itself,
right,
which is
you
crazy.
Like, you like, oh, you only here for a year, you only there for a year, you're only there for it. So then they have this thing in their mind, they're only going to be here for a year. So I'm not going to hire that person. Well, now it's like people do that, like 2 years, whatever, because they're trying to fast track that growth. So by staying somewhere longer, you could actually hinder your ability to earn.
Yeah,
because you're capping yourself. The employer's not going to give you a huge raise if they're like, this person's
we got
gonna
you.
stay. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna bump.
You got him.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna bump this salary. So some people play those games, and I say play those games. Make sure you're actually offering impact and value before you play this game, because the game is I go apply, I get these offers for more, I take it back to the employer that I actually want to be with and say, hey, such and such is willing to give me this, match it, or I'm gone. And if you're valuable enough, they may match it. If you ain't offering that type of value, enjoy your new job.
Right.
Because, you know what I'm saying? They're not going to then allow you to stick around, you know what I'm saying, without the hostile work environment.
Yeah.
So make sure you're providing impact, which is another thing, because a lot of people just feel like as their life circumstances change, it's their employer's responsibility to grant them extra pay to make up for their life changes and their circumstances.
And it don't work like that.
It don't work like that.
But you have to advocate for yourself.
You do have to advocate.
But another piece of that, Mel, because I think you hit the nail on the head. Like our parents, our grandparents, access was different too. You know what I'm saying? Level of access. And they had a lot of, as you mentioned, like manufacturing skills and stuff like that, in which their only goal was to provide and provide better for those that they needed to serve. So like my grandfather, 5th grade education, worked at the foundry for years. My mom was the first to go to college and get a college degree and those kind of things. So being able to, and he was satisfied with that. He was like, look, I got a 5th grade education. My children have gone to college. Now they're on. So it's kind of like that a stepping stone, if you will, whereas this is what the hands that they were dealt, and they were okay with that because of time, place, and manner. But now we come into the working place where it's like, nah, I'm gonna go get it. You know what I'm saying? Still have that same drive, but the attitude around it is different, and culture and a feeling like you belong within an organization means more to us now than having to go punch a clock at the foundry for set number of years. Because I mean, there's been numerous times where even my parents, pops complained about having to do certain things, but again, stepping stone. You know what I'm saying? So I think our mentality around it is somewhat different, but being in a place where you're valued, that you can adapt to the culture, and that you belong within the organization goes further than what a lot of people think.
Yeah. And so first of all, I God bless y'all. Y'all are blessing me. Because I don't know, man. Lace knows. Well, actually, yeah, both of y'all know. I struggled trying to get up out of the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I struggled trying to get up out the mountain, and I was applying everywhere, and I had interviews and stuff like that. And every single time I didn't get the interview, I lost to someone who had a terminal degree, and I was like, well, maybe that's what I need. And because I had that mentality that you had, soon as you see me, baby, you want me to be a part of it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, as soon as you see me, you want me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a couple times that I didn't get those opportunities. And when I look back, I was like, well, I made it to the last round. I did this thing. I used to torture myself when I didn't get when I got that email that said, we're sorry to inform you.
Mm-hmm.
We went with another candidate. I would wait like maybe a week or two for them to update their page, and I would look and see who they hired. And it will always be someone with a terminal degree. So I was like, well, maybe that's what's the case. So I was trying to give myself a way out. My homeboy also too, I'm gonna give another shout out to Drew. Drew let me know. He was like, hey man, this is a terrible economy right now. So it's tough to get a job. And so while you're applying to these jobs, there's 100 other people applying to these jobs too.
Mm-hmm.
So don't get on yourself. Because, bro, it was depressing. It was depressing. It was very depressing. And so with things that y'all are sharing are definitely giving me encouragement for employment moving ahead.
Well, I mean, I think you gotta be willing to put yourself out there, and a lot of people don't take no well, you know what I'm saying? So, but it's not about getting a job, it's about getting the right job. And I think sometimes you gotta just simply understand it's a law of numbers, and you gotta go through a certain process. But yeah, the economy is bad, and a lot of organizations are cutting back in a lot of ways. A lot of people doing 2 and 3 jobs built into one. And I think those kind of things is what you have to look at when you're researching and applying for things. Okay, you want me to do this. How does the compensation align? And what is the work-life balance? All those kinds of things that that truly matter. So yeah.
So I'm curious, for the job that you have now, and this question is for everybody. How many applications did you fill out before you landed that joint? How many interviews did you have after that?
For the current job that I have, for where I am right now, I've been with this company for 4 years, so I'm coming up on that 5-year mark. I'm kind of like Lace. Well, no, Lace is a little bit quicker, but I am on the 5-year max type mentality, so I'm getting close to that. So we've been having a lot of conversations internally, like what is there for me in this next year that could potentially make me be here. You know what I'm saying? And if it's not something, then I have to start looking for something else, because I don't want to be capped. I don't want to have a ceiling in a space where I know that there's more to do. There's more that I can do. So I'm in that window. As far as feeling like you, it took me forever to get out of the mountain. It took me forever to get out of the burg. Let me say it that way. Filling out, and I didn't even get to interviews. And I think that was the frustrating part for me. I was just filling out apps on top of apps on top of apps, and I couldn't get an interview. And it was frustrating me because I was like, I know if I get the interview, I'm getting the hell out of here. Like I am going to blow this popsicle stand because
Right.
I just know it, and I can never get it. And the timing was just never right. And the job that I have now, I saw it on LinkedIn. I think I applied on like a Monday afternoon. It was just an easy apply. Use your profile, or whatever. Applied. They called me back the very next day. Asked me to do an interview on Wednesday. I did an interview on Wednesday. They really liked that interview and said, "Hey, I'd like to get you with the rest of the leaders and just do like another whatever." And in the process of that, they wanted me to do like a little marketing project. With a lot of marketing companies, they want to
want to see you.
they want to see
your
your acumen. They want to, if
Mhm.
you don't have a portfolio, they'll give you like a project to put
Mhm.
together and then have you present it so that they can see how you do critical thinking or reason or whatever that was. So they gave me that project or what have you. And I would say the following week after that, I did the presentation with everyone. It was like a panel interview. It was like 4 people was there. I did the presentation, whatever. And 2 days after that, they called me back and just offered me the job.
Mhm.
So within a 2-week span?
Yeah,
Oh,
like a
1
2 week
week.
span. I
Okay.
only filled out that one application just because I saw it. It was easy. I didn't fill out anything else because I got to the point where, like you, I was just discouraged. I stopped
Mhm.
applying for stuff, and I was just gonna settle on being at the mountain until
Mhm.
whatever. So I just happened to apply for it because it was easy apply. It was just there. So I didn't. I thought that they weren't gonna call me, just like everybody else. And they ended up calling me, and I went through the process, got the interview.
Yeah.
Went through the whole thing, and it was just very quick. They called me back and was like, "Hey, we can start you in 30 days if you want." And that was because I was still in Virginia. So this was Charlotte. They wanted me to relocate or whatever. So
Mhm.
they was like, "We could get you here in 30 days." They offered to pay for me to relocate, like things I had never experienced before. Like
Yeah.
someone offering me money to move or whatever. So it was just like real quick, just going through the process. So no, it was at the time it was refreshing for someone to see my skills and want me to use them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because at the mountain I felt like people knew I had skills, but they were more intimidated about my potential ability to replace
Yeah.
that. They would try to
Mhm.
trap me or pigeonhole me into a space where I just couldn't really showcase myself or whatever. And I think a lot of people have experienced that. So it was just good to be in a situation where someone's like, "Yo, if I don't move on this person quickly, I could lose this,
Yeah. Use the
this
talent.
talent or whatever."
Mhm.
So being there, started off 1 year there. After that year being there, moved into like a senior manager level position. I've been in that similar spot for the last 3
So
years.
after 1 year, you got promotion.
Being able to showcase my talent, and actually put forth the work and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. After that 1 year, I was able to move into that because we had another manager in that spot. He just was terrible. Not to speak negative about him. He wasn't really with the culture. He didn't understand the pace of marketing, how it was changing. He couldn't keep up with some of the technology and the digital aspects of it. And he just wasn't personable with the team. Like it just got to a point where major talented people started to resign because they didn't want to work with him. They just like, I can't work with this person. So they had to make a decision. Am I going to keep this manager and keep losing talent, or am I going to try to find a replacement, whatever? So they ended up laying them off, or however you want to, force resignation, however you want to call it. And unbeknownst to me, the peers around me went to leadership and said, "We want this person to be in this role." So I didn't even
Don't
apply
that
for
make
it.
you feel good?
It did. I mean, I had never experienced that before.
Mhm.
I had never experienced it. I wasn't looking for it. It's not something that I asked. I didn't apply for it or anything like that. I was just doing the work, whatever. And they ended up coming to me and saying, "Hey, this is open. The team kind of wants you to take it. Would you be interested in doing it? This is what the expectation would be," or whatever it was. And, I thought about it at the time, if I was ready for it, if I wanted to do it, whatever it may be. So after thinking about it, I just, grabbed a hold of it or whatever. I think to a sense I had like imposter syndrome almost. Like, am I
Sure.
qualified? Do I have enough skills? Am I going to be able to manage this? How's it going to be leading people? And most of them are older than me, or, think about the different cultural aspects
Yeah,
and
yeah.
barriers, you know what I'm saying? And outside of that, I just went forward with it. And for the last 3 years, just been doing it, growing in it or whatever. So now it's like to the point where I'm coaching other leaders that as they go through their journey of trying to manage, people and grow through that situation. So
Yeah, I think the biggest piece that takeaway is leadership versus management. A lot of people
facts.
can manage, but they don't know how to lead people. As you mentioned, the previous individual that was in the role, not being able to connect with the team, not being able to lead from a standpoint to create buy-in and understanding, those kind of things, that truly matters in whatever type of organizational setting you're in. If you can set a vision and have people buy into that vision and execute that vision, then you're leading appropriately in a lot of ways. But the management aspect of it is where a lot of people who consider themselves leaders fall short because they focus on all the wrong things. Majoring in minors is what I always say. Like, why are we worried about this?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like even in aspects of my former employment before I started working for myself, a lot of my journey was just doors open at the right time. You know what I'm saying? Not that there hasn't been struggle, but even how I got into higher education, somebody just saw a skill set like, yo, you got a skill set that's transferable that you can do well in higher education, and just kind of built my way up through there. Literally every interview that I did, as soon as I walked into the door, I was like, got him. Got him. So a lot of ways, if I get in the door, I feel like it's a lot. You know what I'm saying? That's a certain level of confidence, but it's also knowing your stuff and being confident in what you bring to the table. So going from simply a conduct officer to a C-suite executive within a span of 10 years, like that's crazy, particularly when you didn't have any prior higher ed kind of background. Like I said before, I've never been an RA, never was in student leadership, none of that kind of stuff. It's just, again, if you can understand people, be empathetic towards people, and know the aspect of the business that is applicable to what you're doing, you can do it. You can truly do it. But a lot of times you just have to find ways to play the long game in certain arenas, make solid connections, don't burn bridges, and know your stuff, man. Know your stuff.
I definitely want to talk about that burn bridges part. I do want to give Lace's flowers real quick, just real quick. So Lace, talking about the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
Lace had never done conduct ever before. That's
Never.
What he just testified. So he gets this opportunity at another institution.
Mm-hmm.
So he texts me one day, and I guess he just based it upon me taking over the basketball team that he had created and had abandoned. And, and I was in a position to take over. He hits me up one day. He said, "Hey man, I already talked to." Didn't even get my consent on this, by the way. He said, "Hey man, I talked to my supervisor. I said you'd be a good person for the job. It's already yours. You just gotta apply." What?
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Yeah, I'm leaving. I got another spot, and I already told my boss about you, and whatever the case may be. And when the job opened, just apply for it." And I was like, "Oh snap!" So I got ahead of myself. I actually got ahead of myself, and I went to my current situation was all right, but it could have been better. And what you were doing was everything I wanted to do. Well, not everything, but the start of where I wanted to go. So I went to my my supervisor, my dean, and I was just like, "Hey, I just want to let you know, my boy's putting me on." Okay. In so many words, I was like, "Hey, my boy's put me on. The reason why I wanted to come to tell you first is because you hired me, and I respect you because you gave me a chance, and I just want to let you know as soon as this comes up, I'm applying, and I'm gonna take it." He was like, "No, you're not." I was like, "What?" He was like, "I'm gonna call you in an hour." So I left his office, came back, and he was like, "Here's an extra $10,000, and here's a title change, and because you're gonna stay here." And I was like, "Well, yes, I am." So I appreciate you, Lace.
No doubt.
For giving me an extra 10 stacks.
Hey, it's all a case study. It is all a case study. We doing the work.
And I probably would have left anyway.
Oh,
because
absolutely.
if they had that 10 to give me like that, what was you holding on to it for?
But
you should have been gave me
but
that.
That's the thing. That's the thing that I've seen, particularly from the HR standpoint, having that within the portfolio. People don't know how to negotiate and
they don't.
advocate for themselves.
They don't.
You know what I'm saying? Like in any way, shape, form, or fashion. And it's always generally a reactive response when they find out somebody else got. Oh, well, what about me? No, why weren't you having those conversations from jump? I always tell people, if they got you doing, particularly if you're in an interim space or if you're taking on additional duties, say for instance, there's a vacant position and they have you doing those duties, we don't do those for free.
Right.
We don't do those for free. And the fact that and you have to be willing to ask those questions, but and the fact too, if I'm good enough to be interim are you going to give me a
The
fair shot?
at the position.
And those are if you're not willing to ask that up front, don't bother. We don't even need to have that conversation. But a lot of times within our communities, we do not have those conversations up front because we look at it like, you actually chose me.
Right. Grateful for the opportunity.
So I'm grateful to be in this space. But yeah, you chose me, but you only chose me for your own gain and to keep the organization running. I've had numerous, engagements and conversations with people, people who've been interim directors, interim executive directors multiple times. You've been at the organization 12 plus years. They've asked you to be an interim every time your boss leaves.
Interim, and then
but yet they won't give you a fair shot or an opportunity to serve in said position. That's why one time I was asked to be interim for a particular organization, a college, in a dual role interimly or whatever, and I was transitioning from the conduct space to the DEI space, and they were like, well, we want you to be interim. Okay, first things first, how much time do I have to be interim? What is the expectation of me in this interim role, and am I going to get a fair shot at the opportunity once it rolls out? And my the VPSA at the time was like, well, wow, we didn't expect you to come with that. Yeah, no, I'm not doing. You think I'm gonna do more work?
Right.
More work for nothing.
Just because. And one thing that I was reading, the CEO of TIAA stated the other week, she was like, or last year, she was like, titles are rented. Your title is rented. That's not permanent, because if you out of here, somebody else go come in and take said title, or organization to be like, we're restructuring, your title's changing, etc. So that is totally rented. So no, I'm not going to be in no interim space doing all this work to keep the doors open, and you're not looking at me to give me a fair shot. And I always tell people too, if you're serving in an interim capacity, don't give up all your intel. Don't do everything that is.
What you mean?
Please don't do everything that is innovative to take the organization to a next level.
And they are not.
If they're not giving you a shot.
Come on now, thank you.
So if you ask me to be the interim director of whatever, or interim VP, whatever, yada yada yada, don't expect me to go above and beyond and shift culture and put all these things in place if you just go bring somebody else in that could have a totally different vision, totally different approach, and dismantle what I've done, because that's more detrimental to a team than allowing me to, again, do the work, keep the doors open, make sure the wheels don't fall off, etc. So stop using people up, essentially.
So let's give a couple examples of let's not give that information up, or what you just said. Let's give a couple. Like the first example I thought about was your intellectual property.
For sure.
Specifically in the sense of, I create this program, or I've done these programs before, then I implement the program here, it's successful, and then you hire somebody else to come in and do the program that I created.
Right. And now you reporting to that person or whatever, and they wonder why.
And then they
people
take
are
your program.
Yeah, they wonder why people are disgruntled.
You stand it up, they give it to this person, and then in some instances, you're expected to get this person up to speed
on what you built.
That you built, and then they take the job, and then you're back where you were, and then now you're answering to this person. That happens quite a bit,
all the time.
So when again, it's when he's saying not give up all your information, don't do the full extent of the job until you have the full extent of the job. Maintain the position. You know what I'm saying? If you do want to take on the interim responsibility, if you feel like it's going to be great visibility for you, cool. But don't give so much while you're in the interim feeling like you're making yourself valuable for that, because you feel like, if I do this and show it, I'm going to get this position. Wait until you have the position, and then show enough that's like, I can trust this person with this thing. But don't give all of it away to the point where you afterwards are used up, like Lay said, and you don't have nothing else for yourself, and now you're disgruntled about, you know what I'm saying, the process, because it does happen. And there is a belief for a lot of people that the better they do their job, the more opportunities they're going to have move up or to be a leader or be a manager. And when they get overlooked, there's resentment, frustration, anger, jealousy, where they're like, oh, well, I work harder than this person, I do more than that person, X, Y, and Z. And I had to have this conversation with my wife, because she believes in, not that I don't, she believes in doing an amazing job. When she go to work, she go to work. She in there early, last person leave, all that type of stuff, because she's trying to showcase so much so that she is this thing so she can get the opportunities,
Mm-hmm.
to the point where I've had to explain to her that you can be too good at your job.
Yeah.
And I did not understand that until I got into the place of senior level management, where
Mhm.
I'm having to build a team of people. And when you're building a team and when you're trying to move the pieces based on the resources and information that you're getting, if I have an amazing person in this thing and some of this other stuff may be off that I got to figure out, I'm not trying to get rid of this piece.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I need this piece to stay put while I
Right.
figure this other stuff
Right.
out. So you can pigeonhole yourself into a space that you cannot get out of
Mhm.
because you are so good that you cannot be replaced,
Mm-hmm.
or they just
Yeah.
don't want to.
Yeah.
So the goal is to be good enough at your job to get what you need, but position yourself to move in the direction that you want
Right.
to move. And the struggle with that is people think that just doing the job is going to be enough visibility to move up. And you'll really start to learn that the people who move up are not the ones that do the best work or do the most work. It's the people who can best articulate the impact
Different
that they're
skill
making
set.
in the
Mm,
role.
yeah.
It's a different skill set.
Yeah.
It's the conversation, like putting on display the things that they've done to move something forward. It's less work than what you did,
Mhm.
Yeah.
but they're showcasing the impact. They're able to articulate it. They're able to speak up. And I know it's uncomfortable for people. They don't want to speak up. They don't want to put themselves out there. If you really want to go in that direction, to some degree, you have to.
Got
And
to.
you have to practice that
Got
skill,
to.
and you have to push past the fear, and some of those other things that I mentioned, because unless you do it, unless you have a really great manager who's willing to look at you and see it in you and say, I see this and I'm willing to give you this opportunity, it's
Yeah.
just not going to come to you unless you go get it. So I know that's a struggle for Black people, and part of being in this role is you go through trainings, like you go through webinars on how to vet employees, how to ask the right questions, how to do these things. And in my learnings and in my trainings, I started to learn that more times than not, 9 out of the 10 times, Black people will literally just not negotiate. Like you
Oh,
said.
fact. Yeah, they just
Black
accept.
Black people do not negotiate at all. I've noticed it in hiring as well. I've hired some Black people. I've hired some white people over my time, and the white people who apply,
We'll ask
100%,
anything.
100%.
We'll ask anything.
When I tell you
Ask for
100%,
anything.
100%, they will negotiate the salary. They'll negotiate extra pay up front. They'll negotiate whatever it is.
Comp
They
package.
will negotiate 100% of the time. Every single Black person that I've offered a job to has just been grateful for the
For the job.
opportunity,
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
job. And they have not negotiated. They have not asked for more. They have not, or whatever. And one person that I was offering a job to, they were so good that I emailed them separately and said, hey, do me a favor.
Mm-hmm.
Ask for this number instead. Send me back an email
Mm-hmm.
using this verbiage and ask for this so that I can take it back, because where we're offering you right now, you can do better than that. But
Mhm.
because you're not asking for it,
Right.
I can't give it to you.
Mm.
So do this thing so that I can give it to you. They did it, took it back almost right away.
No brainer.
I was able to offer
Right.
them the package and get it. But so
Mhm.
it's just that we're so afraid. And I was like that because I didn't used to negotiate either. Then when I started learning this stuff, now I'm like, I negotiate everything.
Sure.
Mhm.
And I, make it move and shake that way. So I would just say start practicing the skill. Again, find where you're impactful, find where you're valuable, and then work on that stuff, because all these things, will affect you and how you work the day to day.
What
Go ahead.
what were some of the things that the people who negotiated, what did they ask for? Give me some examples. 'Cause
It
I'm
would
pretty
be
sure a
like-
lot of people want to know.
Yeah, for sure. It'd be like base salary if they felt like the salary didn't match their qualifications. If they felt like the salary, and this is the thing too that I also learned. Not being title focused is what Lace said. Titles are rented. My title didn't change like 4 times since I've been in this role, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. But the responsibilities have not changed or they've increased. Start looking at the compensation based on the responsibilities and not the title.
Yes.
Because the title is completely, like, it's good for your resume. A lot of us want the title because of what we think is going to do for our physical resume. But look at the responsibilities, because you'll take a title of a low-level person, and then most of these people will use Glassdoor or whatever it is to say, oh, that title should get this range of
Mhm.
Yeah.
salary. But then the description is that of a position higher than you of what the duties are. So
Yeah.
they don't want to pay you the duties higher, so they give you the title.
Mhm.
You want to get paid based on the roles, responsibilities, and the duties of the position. So you need to be looking at what those are. And a lot of the ones who are negotiating, they look at the roles
Yeah,
and
yeah.
responsibility, and they go based on the description and the responsibilities that I feel like align more with my skills. I think that my salary is more in the range of X, Y, and Z.
Right.
So they'll upscale the range, or they'll maybe it's a signing bonus that they ask for, or just relocation money,
Mm-hmm.
or since we work remotely, can I get some money up front to build a home or set up a home office or whatever it is that they want. Some of the other things at my company can't really negotiate too much because we get unlimited PTO, those type of things where people would probably ask for
I've seen that.
more. We have 401ks, benefits, all those other things. So some of the other stuff, there's really not much to negotiate. So the areas where they can get more, though, they go after it, whatever that looks like. And some of them we even come to the table like, all right, even if they can't get the salary met in the beginning, they'll say, I'll take this salary now as long as you agree that within 6 months time, we get to review my salary based on
performance
my
review, all that kind of stuff.
My impact and skills.
So a lot of particularly in
can you do that in higher ed?
You can try to negotiate that. Like in higher ed, generally it's an annual review. But I've seen people ask for 6-month review or even a quarterly review to assess, particularly if it's like an inaugural role or something that's brand new to the organization. Well, in 6 months, let's assess my impact and how that could align with compensation. I've seen where if it is a hybrid or remote, the compensation for internet packaging, compensation for cell phone stipend, Mel mentioned relocation package. If there are school vouchers, daycare opportunity, like it's
fitness, health.
Yes, it's a wide array of things that could be asked in a negotiation standpoint. Because a lot of times we base it on what we view compensation, but compensation looks different. It's not necessarily monetary compensation. So even I've seen where instead of having to come into the office or on-site job for 5 days, and let me do 3 12s and get 2 remote days or whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of different ways that you can try to negotiate a particular package or what your package will look like.
The one time that the first time I ever negotiated was when on topic, off topic. The first time I ever negotiated was for my car. I had bought a Chrysler 300. I went to the dealership, drove it, liked it. They was like, all right, Mr. Burnett, this is what you're going to have to pay a month. I was like, I don't want to pay that. I want to pay $250 a month. They was like, no, not going to happen. And we went back and forth for a little bit. I was like, well, I appreciate y'all. And this ain't going to work. So I walked out the door and they ran me down. All right, Mr. Burnett, you can get it for this price. I say all that to say this. Because some people are just so appreciative of what you just mentioned earlier, they don't, and because they have applied to so many jobs, got so many rejections, they'll take whatever and it's hard to just walk away from an offer knowing that this isn't better than previous than what they have. They're looking for an out. I think about that sometimes. One of the jobs that I had, they just kept asking me, what can we do to get you here? What can we do to get you here? And I would name things and they just kept saying, no, we can't make that. We can't make that happen. We can't make that happen. And I thought to myself, I was like, so what are you trying to do to get me here? But I was just so thankful and it got me out of another situation. I was just so thankful. Eventually, after all my negotiations, I was like, all right, man, just give me a couple extra dollars more and I'll come through. But you know what I'm saying? Like some people, the places that I have experience with, they wanted to bring me on at any cost, but then didn't show how far they were willing to go.
Right. All right. Which should tell you more about the organization and the culture.
Oh, and that's
the piece that when a lot of times in interviewing people, you know how you will give them opportunity if you have any questions.
Ask questions.
What's the first question is, what's the culture like? Now, you can't be completely candid in some ways, but particularly with some individuals, I tell them straight up, like, these are the landmines that you could be navigating. You know what I'm saying? Is it a solid place to work? And yes, but are you going to be able to thrive? You'll be able to thrive if you move this way. And that's something that, you have to learn the lay of the land and those kind of things. Cause I hate seeing people get set up or get pigeonholed on the accounts of me, if you will, from a recruiting standpoint or a talent acquisition standpoint. So yeah, you got to keep those things in mind.
Definitely ask questions. Ask questions when they give you an opportunity to ask questions, whether you have a question or not. ask questions.
Yes.
Participate in the interview. And like I tell people when I interview them, when we get to that portion, I tell them that they can ask me anything they want to ask me.
Mhm.
I may not be able to answer everything, but ask me, because a lot of times we sit on the other end of the table interviewing and we think we're the only ones interviewing.
Right. No, it's two-way
You're
street.
interviewing the company
That's
just
a
as much
good
as they're
point.
Yeah.
interviewing you. Do you want to be at this place? Is this a good place for me, you know what I'm saying, to work? So culture questions, questions about the role, coming up with creative ways to ask about, turnover. Why are they hiring for the position?
Mhm.
What
Yeah,
led
yeah.
them to hire for this position?
Yeah.
They tell you. Sometimes people will slip up and say, they've had a couple people change quickly or whatever. Then you kind of know they have a high turnover. Well, why do they have a high turnover? It's possible that the culture's bad, or the role is bad, or the systems aren't in place for someone to be successful, so
Mhm.
people quit,
Mhm.
or the manager sucks, or all type of stuff why people, would leave a job. So I would just say ask questions, try to find the ones that work for you. And a lot of people are frustrated in their career or in their jobs for the same reason that I was. And my dad gave me this piece of information, so I'll give it to y'all, and hopefully it works for y'all as well. And he told me 2 reasons why I'm frustrated. The first was I haven't decided what I want out of the situation.
Mhm.
I haven't decided what I want to gain from this role. I haven't decided what I want to get from this company, what experiences or things I want to learn. So because I haven't decided that, someone else is steering me. And I'm getting frustrated with the fact that
Mhm.
someone else is
Mhm.
steering me. So there's the company steering me, my manager steering me, they're pulling me in a direction that I don't want to go.
Yeah.
And it's because I haven't decided where I want to go for myself and how I want to attack it. And that's what helped me stop being so miserable at work. Because before I'd just be like, oh man, I got to go to work. I hate this. I'm gonna apply somewhere else or whatever it is. And then once I started being intentional, like, all right, I'm gonna focus on learning these couple things while I'm here so that I can put it on
Yeah.
my resume, or that I could take it with me because it'll be useful later. That helped me tremendously. It took a while, but I was able to finally get to that point. So I would offer that. And then the second thing of it was, he told me to always only go to places where people are thirsty for your skills.
Mhm.
Go where people are thirsty for what you have. Because the other frustration I had was feeling overlooked. Like they weren't valuing my talent. They weren't valuing my skills. And he was like, well, you need to find a place where people are thirsty for what you have. What skills do you have where they, would have that quenched by your presence?
Yeah.
So then I started looking at that lens too. Like, what do I have to offer? What skills can I put in place, and how can I articulate that in a way that would make
I got a
it, you know what
feeling,
I'm
not
saying?
not to cut you off, because that's great information. I got a feeling your pops used that as a pickup line back in the
Look,
day.
hey.
You know what I'm saying? Because I only want to go where they thirsty, and I'm just trying to quench.
Hey, come
I'm
on
just
now.
trying to quench.
Look.
I'm just trying.
I like that.
It'll
I
help
like
you.
that.
It'll
That's
help
good.
you. It'll help you.
That's good.
It'll help you. It'll help you. Hey, how much time?
We got time. We got about 5-10 minutes.
Okay,
That'll
listen,
quench.
bruh, listen to this, yo, because it's gonna eat up the last 5-10 minutes. It's a story about how I got played during the interview.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, tell that.
I was at the company that I am now, right? I had moved, relocated, whatever. It was 100% remote. The economy started looking shaky or whatever. People started cutting back, and in the marketing industry, when people start to cut, one of the first things they cut is marketing.
Yeah.
Because it's
Yeah,
an
yeah.
uncontrollable variable. They just want static, whatever. So we started losing a couple clients. People started applying. People was leaving, whatever. So I started looking around like, hey, I might have to do something too. So I get back out here. I'm applying, doing all this stuff, and I came across this company that had a similar role as me. That I was doing. I was like, oh, that looked like a good fit, like the salary, whatever. So I applied for it. Did the whole easy apply joint or whatever. And a couple days later, Slim reached out to me, was like, hey, really loved your profile. I think you have the skills for whatever it is. Let's schedule an interview for X, Y, and Z date. So I'm like, cool. So man, I'm at home. I show up. I research the company. They look pretty large. So I'm like, all right, let me put my best foot forward, even though I'm working remote. So I would go. Look, I put on a suit for this at home interview. I'm full suit. I ain't just put on the top. Like
You
I'm
put the
full
bottoms.
bottoms on too, whole suit, everything. Sharita cracking up. She like, they can't see. I'm like, hey, I'm putting on
Hey,
the
you
suit.
gotta
Right.
put
If
on.
I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
Right. So I put on the suit to interview in my living room, and went through the initial interview. It seemed normal. It was like great. She loved it. She thought I was well articulated. She was like, I feel confident about you. I'd love to move you to the next phase. Next phase, as usual, project with a presentation or whatever.
Yeah.
So she gave me this project. She's like, we basically pretend that you have this new product offering that we're trying to go to market with. How would you roll it out? How would you reach this industry that is untapped, etc.? So I go into my bag, do the presentation, bruh. I'm talking about slide deck, all that type of stuff. So she reached out, to schedule an interview, was like, gave me all the information, whatever. So I put together a presentation, everything. So before that next interview, she go, would you mind sending me over an outline of basically what you plan to discuss on the whatever so that I can prepare for the interview? I ain't think nothing of it. So I send her an outline of like what I'm preparing to talk about for this interview because I'm like, this is a presentation. She said other people were going to be there. So I'm best foot forward. So interview come back around, same thing, full suit, presentation deck, everything ready. No one is there but her. She's the only one there. She made an excuse why no one else can make it, time conflicting, whatever.
Yeah.
It's just her. So I didn't think nothing of it. I'm like, cool, that stuff happens. Whatever. I'm still at the interview. I'm like, I'm at the interview, so I'm ready to go. So I'll do it. She's like, are you comfortable with that? I'm like, yeah, it's cool, no problem, whatever. So as soon as I started, though, she's like, do you mind if I record this presentation so that because for the others who are missing, I would love to allow them the opportunity to be able to see you or I'm not hip. I'm going through, I'm like, hey, no problem. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I would love for them, you know, because then I don't have to do another interview. In my head, I'm like, nah, I don't have to do another interview. They could just watch me work or whatever. So she pushes record. I go through the whole presentation, slide deck, notes, everything, bro. Data, stats, statistics, the full rollout, the whole shebang. At the end of it, she's raving about how, this is so amazing. I love this, whatever. She's like, this is the best presentation I've ever seen, yada, 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 whatever. And, you know, I'm just gloating because I'm like, hey, you see me. You see me. You want me, right? So I done it. So I'm like, cool. She telling me next step. She's like, look, she's like, I have to get you in with everybody else. She's like, I promise you one more interview, the final one. I just want everyone to see you. She's like, this is pretty much done. So I get off of the interview with Sharita. I'm like, hey, new job on the way. Bag. I'm like, they handing your man the bag. Like I'm on my way. I'm talking. I'm like, I'm preparing. I'm like, I didn't tell nobody else at work. People making plans for the rest of the year. I'm saying stuff to myself like, don't worry about the rest of the year because I'm not gonna be here. I'm not gonna be here, right? Yeah. So I'm doing all the stuff. She hit me up. The lady hits me up the next day. And she goes, hey, just to follow up, she was like, I was able to share your presentation with some of the others, whatever. They were really into it. They were like, they wanted to know if you wouldn't mind sharing that presentation deck that you went through with me so that they can match it with your video as they review the rest of the applicants, right? So I didn't think nothing of it. I emailed her the presentation. And, bruh, after I emailed her that presentation,
she ghosted
me. Slim ghosted me, bro. She legit ghosted me. She's like, you'll hear from me in a couple days. A couple days went by, I didn't hear from her, so I'm trying to be proactive. I email her like, hey, just want to check in on to see if this opportunity is still available. Haven't heard from you. This email cannot be delivered to whatever.
No.
I got a disclaimer. Like, I couldn't even send the email.
Yeah.
Lady ghosted me. I get on the internet, job position gone,
wow.
Job posting gone. She put up the job posting to basically find somebody to do her job. I did her job for her without knowing that I was doing her job because I thought I was going through an interview. She took my presentation. She took my video so that she could regurgitate my presentation proposal and disappear. After that, I was like, I'm not applying for a job ever again in my entire life. And I just like, I'm staying here. But I didn't know people did that. So then I told somebody else and they were like, you didn't know people do that? And then other people were like, yeah, you're never supposed to. If you do send a presentation, put a watermark on it or something like that before you give it up. I did not know to do that, so I gave everything away, and she took all of my IP and everything that I put together to roll out her situation. Yo, that's wild. So I was like, bruh,
that's wild.
She played me for real. Like, I'm like, I would have never thought to do that.
Got a taste.
Bro, you need to. I'm surprised.
So
you
I
put her on blast.
I done put hours into putting that presentation together because I thought so. I done took hours to do something I ain't getting paid for. I ain't got no job. And then I had to go back to where I was telling my mind I was leaving from. No bag. Wasted two suits.
That's crazy.
For nothing, bro. I was hurt.
I would have reached out to her superiors.
Bro, I couldn't even figure out. I didn't even. So then I go back and start looking at some of the emails that she had texted. Like, she played me, bro. Like, even to the point of CCing people that seemed legit in the company to make it seem like she's looping me in. You know, that's corporate America words, looping me in with these other people. And so I'm like, all right. So I'm looking around. none of those names are real.
That's
none of those
crazy.
people were real names at the
So
company.
did you do
bro.
any research? on
I
the
did.
company?
So I looked after that. I looked the stuff up. Everything about the company was legitimate. Sometimes when a company is real large, they don't put
you
like
different
Yeah,
sectors.
yeah,
and
the
different-
staff
yeah,
on the
yeah.
page. So everything everything about the company checked out. The company is 100% legit.
Mhm.
Yeah.
She, on the other hand, was not. And there was no like data bank for me to go through
Yeah.
and look through. So the only thing I could think of after that was looking at the names in the email and trying to go to LinkedIn and typing in the names to see if those people
We're real.
would reel and pop up. Couldn't find a single one of those people on LinkedIn or whatever it is. And so I was just like, bruh, she legit.
She played.
She played me, bro.
Is,
Like,
is she even on LinkedIn?
I found she was on LinkedIn before because I always do that. When I'm about to interview with people, I log out because it'll tell you if you look at somebody's profile.
Right.
So I log out and search the names so that I can look at them, kind of see what their role is and all that type of stuff, see how long they've been there, all those types of. So I always look people up on LinkedIn, and I looked them up on Facebook. I looked them up on Facebook too, right? So because I'm trying to get that info on them. So when I originally looked her up, everything checked out. She was there. Everything was there. I go back, bruh. She not even on LinkedIn. She wasn't even on LinkedIn. I got played, bro. I had never experienced that before in my entire life. Ever since then, I've been hesitant about a presentation. Now, every time they want to do no, you can't record me. I don't let people record me no more. None of that type of stuff because it scarred me, bro.
That's wild.
And now I know to put a watermark on all of my.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
On all of my
That's
joints.
crazy.
Yeah. Property of
whatever. I don't know what the watermark gonna be, but it was just like, bro, I didn't even expect that. Like I just imagine that though. You think you about to get this job that's like 50,000 more than what you making right now, so you putting your best foot forward or whatever it is, all for to get played, and then have to go back to your. I was hurt, yo. I ain't gonna hold you, bro.
That's like when Martin hit the lotto. Martin hit the lotto, was buying all that stuff, and everybody.
You want a Ferrari? You got a Ferrari.
I was hurt, bro.
That's crazy.
I was hurt.
Nah, that's unfortunate. Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Well, I'm glad. Here's the thing. I'm glad that story did not go to waste.
Yeah.
Because now we done told everybody.
Yeah.
What not to do.
What not to do. Don't give away your intellectual.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, it's real. It's real. Wow, that's crazy.
With that being said,
Yeah.
it's your boy T. Roy, Melly Mel, Life Coach Lace. This is the Manly D's podcast. We out.
We out.